Hello my loves. Now my mum's in, it's mummy. She had coloured acrylic on last time. They've been on about 3.5 weeks and the growth is insane. They've been on holiday. The colour she had last time, it looks red on here, but it was actually like pink flamingo. It's like a neon pink. It was from Neo Nails. So obviously I've got to file back the capped in clear, the clear cap, the coloured acrylic right down to the underlayer, which is a thin layer of clear acrylic. So I'm using my meat grinder, which is the coarse, like triple or quadruple X coarse bit from Diamond Nail Supplies. Just munches through that nicely without any burning as well, which is great. I'm using my Valentino dust collector. You guys know I'm in love with this. I know they're not cheap, but bloody hell they're good. So we're just going to remove that all. I don't remove the entire, especially around the cuticle and sidewalls. I'm more careful and I'll go in with a 100 grit file by hand and go over those bits because I can control it a little bit better than an e-file. And I'd want to be very, very careful. My mum's skin is incredibly thin. She takes a lot of medication and it really affects the skin. I was really, really happy with these actually. They lasted so well considering, you know, going on holiday and my mum's general clumsiness. So they did incredibly well. We didn't have any traumas. And anything that looks like it might have been starting to lift or potential, I just file it right back. But there wasn't anything major here. I've kept in quite a bit of prep and a bit of everything really for those that want to watch. I know there's a lot of beginners. Some bits, this is sped up a bit. Some other bits are sped up a little bit, but it's only just because I don't want you getting completely bored. But you can go over, if you need to see anything, you can go over and repeat it obviously. Oh, bit of news, I've just submitted the final piece of work for my AET, the written work. I think I totaled nearly 9,000 words all in all. Whew! So I'm waiting to hear back if that part is all passed, and then if so, then I just have to do an assessment of, like a teaching assessment has to be done. And if that's the case, then and I pass that, then I am ready to rock and roll. So fingers crossed, eh? Fingers crossed. As you can see, I'm being really careful and I'm pulling the skin back with my fingers so we don't want the sidewalls kind of flopping over. So here I'll show you the bit I do by hand. So I've got my 100 grit file and I'm just going over those areas. I've sped this up so it looks a bit brutal. But I'm just going over those areas where there's still some coloured acrylic there because the colour we're going in with is lighter. If I was going in with a darker colour, I would just smooth it out and I wouldn't be as worried, but I'm going in with a lighter colour. And as if my Valentino filter wasn't pink enough already, it now is truly pink. They're supposed to be white, but it sucks up so much, it's now pink. I must get a new filter. I've got a discount on that actually. Well, I've got a discount on Angel Crystals, which covers Valentino products. So, yeah. My mum doesn't really have crystals and bling. She likes her nails one solid colour, nice and simple, because she can't really see. So if there was any detail, she wouldn't be able to see it. Whereas if there's a large area of blocked colour, she can use her magnifying glass and have a look at it. So she can kind of get a gist for what the colour looks like, sort of, bless her heart. But haven't her nails grown so well? But we're just, these are not extensions anymore. This is just an overlay. I'm so impressed. She's really, really trying hard to look after them. I'm hoping to do my nails this weekend. I haven't had nails on for a week and a half. It feels so strange, and I've started biting. Like, my pinky is demolished. I've demolished that nail. I was chewing on that yesterday. Right, so we've removed all the coloured acrylic, and now I'm going in and prepping the cuticle area and nail plate. So I'm using Ethel from Navy Pro Tools, and some of the things that Ethel's picking up here is dust that's gone right down into the folds, and the rest of it is excess cuticle that's grown out onto the nail plate. And Ethel's job is to lift it, detach it, and then I go in with the e-file bit to exfoliate it, and then the nippers to take away any remaining cuticle. If you miss out one step, you're going to have an issue. So the best bet is to be methodical, do the same step on each nail. You don't need to push down hard. It's designed to do the work for you. My mum doesn't have a whole bunch of cuticles. She gets some build up, but not excessive. And then I'm exfoliating. This is on, I've sped this up so it looks faster than it is, but it's on a setting 5 on my Femme Fatale Nails e-file, and the bit is from Nail Dot Supplies. And I go around one rotation, then I change the rotation, go around the other side. This just ensures that you are treating each side of the nail the same, because if you're right-handed, you'll tend to favour one side more than the other, left-handed, vice versa, and then that can mean that your prep is unequal. That mark you can see there, which looks like a huge chunk of lifting, it's not. It's where I've scratched over the surface of the acrylic that's on there. So I give that a good brush up, and then I will go over and file the growth line again. I'm just going to do a little bit of cuticle work. Again, there wasn't a huge amount, but I'm just going to trim any little dry bits that are hanging over, neaten them up. I use my thumb there just to pull back slightly, just to expose any of those dry pieces that are hanging underneath. And I'm just using very small, gentle motions there just to remove. This index finger, and both her index fingers are incredibly damaged because she used to pick off the skin and the nail due to anxiety. So they've grown back very different to the other nails. They have a hook, they have a bulky, lumpy kind of texture, I suppose, which has to be corrected. So you've got a little bit of me prepping the other hand actually, which I've sped up. I wish I worked this fast. People keep asking me, here's a good topic of conversation. People keep asking me, how long should I take to do a set of nails? If you're back to back with clients, then you need to know your timings so that you can ensure that each client gets a proper service and you're not overlapping or rushing. But if you're starting out and you have space, then I would be inclined to perfect your technique first before worrying about your speed. Because if you've got the time, you can still time it and look at how long you're taking on each section, but it's about perfecting your technique. You can't get faster at something if you're not fully competent at it, because what you'll just do is make more mistakes. So get your technique down first, then try to speed up a little bit, and you'll notice it's simple things, making sure that your desk is laid out to the most effective way so that you're not reaching for things, grabbing things, stopping to find things. All that will speed up. So don't worry and don't feel pressured and think that you're not good enough if you're not super fast, because that's not the case. If you're doing a thorough service and your clients are going away, or friends or family if you're practicing are going away with pretty nails and they're happy and they stay on, then you're doing a great job. Don't put yourself under so much pressure. Here's a little close-up of my Helen nippers, just nipping away. I've sped it up so it looks a bit brutal, but I promise you it's not. See how I just edged that skin back a little bit? Because I want to see that dryness. I don't want to be, cutting or hurting anybody. So now I'm just going over that growth layer maybe any lifting or potential. I'm just blending it in, and there was a little bit there on the side, as you can see, but we generally don't have lifting problems. She doesn't come to me with nails hanging. Sometimes if she's had a bad week or got it caught in a drawer or something and there's been an actual injury. But generally it's just a ton of regrowth. Sorry if you can hear Oliver playing. It's Saturday and he's running around like a lunatic. So I'm going to give him a good old scrub. I've put some prep spray on my hard bristle brush. Really get in there and have a good old scrub-a-dub-dub. And then I will wipe over again with prep spray before I apply the primer. And this is Diamond Nail Supply's Acid Primer. I'm only applying a small amount to the regrowth area. Don't need to put it on the previous acrylic. And then I'm going in with Clarity, which is Diamond Nail Supply's clear acrylic. I've kept this bit in real time. So I place the bead on, I tuck it in around the cuticle and just feather it down the nail. And this is the clear base that you file back to when you redesign. Place that bead on, tuck it in nicely and feather it down. Don't be tempted to place a really, really wet bead as your base, thinking you're going to keep it super thin. I did that when I first started doing colour designs, and I realised that because my thin base was so wet, it was actually more prone to lifting because it wasn't at the right consistency, the right ratio. Sorry about Oliver screeching in the background. He has ADHD and autism, so sometimes it's a little bit difficult for him to control himself. So yeah, make sure the ratio is correct on that bead. A good ratio doesn't mean you're going to have a thick amount of product. It just means it's going to hold fast and do the job, as opposed to causing lifting. Oh, come on Milo, you got it. Nosy doggy. Love a thumb. I love a thumb. Oh. Right, the coloured acrylic we're using today is Glam and Glitz Made in Sweet. Since I've got the Diamond Nail Supplies colours, I'll be honest, I'm falling out of love with Glam and Glitz in general because it's too wet. And I know you probably never thought you'd hear me say this, but I'm really liking working with Diamond Nail Supplies colours because you don't have to work as wet. You can still paint them thin. They don't have to be super wet. And I just struggle because a lot of Glam and Glitz colours, if you don't work wet enough, they're like gritty. I just don't get that with the colours I've got from Diamond Nail Supplies. They're very consistent and smooth, and I'm finding them easier to work with. So I am falling out of love with a lot of other products because it's always the same, isn't it? You find one that you really like, and all of a sudden you go back and use something else, and you're just not comfortable with it anymore. And I guess that's how it is. In comparison to other things I had at the time, it was wonderful, but in comparison to what I'm using now, it's not as nice. I don't enjoy it as much. That's just me. So I'm being very careful around the cuticle because it is a wet system and it floods easily, especially if you've got quite a lot of monomer in your brush, which I did have. And you can paint it on. They're very pigmented, which makes them very sticky, so you must keep your brush clean. But I mean, you don't have to build up a thick layer of colour with Glam and Glitz. That's a bonus to the system. You just need to work nice and wet. Sorry about my hand blocking the view. Nice one, Sarah. And I'm just building up the colour a little bit because it was a bit inconsistent. So you can paint on, you know, thin layers and build it up, which is nice. Again, place the bead on, tuck it in right at that cuticle, and then feather it down the nail. Just going in very gently. Onto that poor index finger that's had a beating. again, placing the bead on and then tucking it up to the cuticle and then feathering it down the nail. And then just adding a bead there because it was obviously not quite enough to reach down to the tip. I've got some stray hairs on this brush. I keep forgetting to deal with them. When I look back at the video, I'm like, oh, just cut that bloody hair. But it's not real. I've just realised it's the 30th of March, which means it's not long till me and Kylie Wary go training together and I get to squeeze her. Yes. We've booked in squeezes. Right, tucking it in. Right up close, look. You don't need to rush this part because you'll end up splodging it right up the cuticle. Take your time. See, look, where I've worked wet now, that bled a little bit into the cuticle area. And I don't want that. I don't want product on the client's fingers or skin or anything like that because you're going to get overexposure. And that's going to cause a reaction. So it's just take your time and neaten it up. You'll be right. Placing the bead on that tip then and feathering it back. I do like the way Glam and Glitz blends quite easily. I just wish I could work with it a little drier, but it tends not to be very nice consistency. And I guess I've just got used to a new system now, so I find it a bit odd switching back. So I'm going to cap now. I just moisten the nail first. And then I'm going to place down a bead of clarity, tuck it in, feather it down. You know the drill! And then if the product doesn't quite level out all the way down the nail, I'll add another bead at the free edge normally. As long as my apex is in and I'm happy. Then the second bead I'll just tuck in at the free edge just to build it up if I feel it's a bit thin. Each their own. It's just something I started doing and I liked the result, so. I guess because this clarity, it blends really nicely, so I don't have a problem with adding extra beads. Or thank you, by the way. Oh, thank you so much for the tips on the polygel. It didn't come with instructions and I was a bit unsure, so I know now that if I do them on me or someone else I need to use a base coat first, which is great because I didn't know that, so thank you. That was literally the first time I'd ever had polygel in my possession, so I'm very grateful for the tips. So I'm walking that bead down. Now this bead in general I'm making thicker because the index finger has a hook to it and slopes down at the free edge. So I'm going to build the free edge up on the top and then file it from the underneath to straighten it out when you look at it sideways. It's very hard to explain, a lot easier to demonstrate in person, which is the whole point of one-to-ones and masterclasses and things, which I can't wait to start doing. I just want to make sure I'm above board, fully certified and insured to do blah, blah, blah. Really? Yes. You know what I mean. Let's do things right, huh? So I'm placing a bead down. Oh, who wants to see a hard gel design? I've got some delicious hard gel that I want to try out, so I might have to come up with something for that. Little bit of a bead at the tip there, just because I wanted a bit more thickness there. Just a tad. I can file it away. I'd rather put a little bit too much on and file it away than not put enough on and end up with inconsistencies and thin nails that break. My mum has to have her nail. This is really long for her, actually. Really long. Tiny little bit there. I'm like, give me your hand, mother. Stop nattering. I don't think I kept in all the filing because it would have made this video ridiculously long because I do so much in real time for you guys. No, I didn't keep the filing in. So we're going straight on to top coat. This is Diamond Nail Supply's Tack Free Top Shine. I love it. I've never had any problems at all with it. No dulling, no yellowing, no chipping, no nothing. And it's great for pigments as well. So I've got 2 bottles. One that I use for pigments, obviously because we don't want contamination of little microparticles. And one that I use for just straight up top coat. Bloody stunning, love it. Good old thumb. Man, I love a thumb. Can't help it. I think it's because it's a nice big platform to work on, isn't it? Especially with short nails. And there we are. All done. I hope you've enjoyed this video, albeit very basic. I hope it's helped. I'll see you in my next one. Tally bye.